Morning, everybody. Thanks for joining me as we take a look at our forecast for our first accumulating snow event for most of us here in southern Vermont. A few places have already seen some accumulating snow at higher elevations, but this will be our first widespread snow accumulating event, and we're going to see quite a range from basically just some nuisance snow accumulations on the grassy surfaces, an inch or two in our low elevations, particularly in the Connecticut River Valley, up to maybe as much as 10 inches for some of the ski areas. So a pretty good dumping for some of the ski areas as we head through the storm. Let's look at all the details of what's going on. So first of all, last night we had this storm and front move through, brought not that much rain really, but some showers overnight, a few tenths of rain, couple tenths of an inch of rain to most locations. But to the west, you can see we've got, it's a little hard to see on this map, but the clouds are starting to, the cloud tops are starting to cool, which means that the storm is kind of developing. We're developing a secondary low pressure system kind of along the front. And what's happening here is that's going to enhance the precipitation amounts. It's also going to help drag some colder air in from the northwest. And what that's going to do is it's going to bring the freezing level down closer to the surface. And so from basically the tops of the mountains down, we're going to change from rain to snow as we head into the afternoon today. And we're going to have some accumulating snow for some of those locations. In terms of radar, what's going on, you can see there's actually, this front was, particularly to our south, a little bit vigorous, certainly some heavier rain along the front, but you can see there's a lot of moisture still back here up to the west. And and you can start to see, it's a little hard to see in this radar, but there are some of those higher elevations in the western Adirondacks are already starting to change to snow. And that will sort of happen kind of slowly west-east, but mostly from top down. So in Vermont, in southern Vermont here, we'll start to see the first areas that will change to snow will be places like Stratton, Killington, certainly Okemo, the ski areas that are above 3,000 feet. And then that snow level will continue to come down. And so by late afternoon, I think basically everybody is seeing snow in the air, even down into the Connecticut River Valley. In terms of temperatures, you can see right now we're kind of locked in the basically low to mid 30s, just above freezing, a couple degrees above freezing, and that's pretty uniform. It's not really cooling off aloft too much yet. Basically, there's not a big temperature gradient, but there's going to be just enough of one that will start as we start to drag some of that colder air in from aloft with our developing storm that will cool off just enough to get those temperatures to freezing, then a little bit below freezing at elevation, then eventually even down here to the valley floors, so that we can see some snow. In terms of what's going on, this is at 850 millibars, which is kind of the mid-level of the atmosphere. And so what's happening here is you can see the freezing line is basically where we go from a blue coloring to a green coloring. And you can see we're basically very close to freezing at that mid-level of the atmosphere already. And oftentimes you're going to be a little bit below zero, or below 0 degrees Celsius, I should say, or below freezing at 850 millibars to give us a chance to get snow at the surface. And we're kind of crossing into that area now. And you can see all the wind direction here. It's a little hard to see, but basically all the wind this direction is out of the west. And to our west, we are cooler generally at 850 millibars, and then certainly a lot cooler as we would get onto the real backside of the storm. And so what's going to happen is as we move this air in our direction throughout the day, we're cooling ourselves from the top of the atmosphere down as our storm develops. In terms of at the surface, you can see all of our flow is across the Great Lakes and then kind of from the west. And it's really as right now we're kind of basically at the surface, we're basically calm. Our winds out there, there's basically no breeze. But as our winds start to pick up a little bit closer down towards the surface from the west, we'll start to move in just enough cold air so that we change over to snow from the rain. And so that will happen as we take a look at the details at around by as early as 11 a.m. For some of those higher elevations, and by 3 p.m. I think certainly 4 o'clock in the afternoon, most of us have changed over to snow. Snow should continue in varying rates of intensity through around midnight. Highest accumulations on the western facing slopes. Difficult travel, basically any of those roads that go over the mountains. So you're talking Route 9 will probably be the toughest. It almost always is on a storm like this. But certainly Route 30 will be rough. Route 11 could be tough going over near Bromley. Route 155, if you go north through Mount Holly, is going to be tough. Route 100 is going to be tough in a couple of spots, particularly if you're going from Weston over to Ludlow. Is going to be rough. 103 will be tough as you're heading from Ludlow to Rutland. 140 could be tricky. Certainly 140 is another one of those tough spots. Route 4 is going to be tough as well as you're heading kind of across the mountains as well. Eastern Windsor and Eastern Windham counties probably only see light snow accumulations as we go. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, I'd encourage you to do that. And let's take a quick look at that snowfall forecast map, which I know we all like to see. So what are we looking at for snow totals? I think 1 to 3 inches mostly for that Connecticut River Valley, and basically, most of that's on the grassy surfaces. I don't think we'll really see any travel issues here. 91 should be fine. Basically, no issues on 91. But as you head to the west, we start to get into, a lot of us are going to see 2 to 5 inches of snow out of this. Enough to shovel, maybe not enough to plow in some of those areas. A lot of us will probably see enough to at least get the plows out on the roads. And then the higher elevations, and we could probably continue this dot up even a little further north into the as we head. But probably our jackpot in southern areas will be the southern greens here, where I wouldn't be surprised to see 10 inches at a place like Stratton. Mountain Snow even could probably see, wouldn't be surprised to see 10 inches. Bromley, same kind of thing. Really, the ski area should do pretty well out of this, as we should see, I would say, at least 6 to 10 inches really for them in the southern greens. And even Killington, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Killington come in with an 8, 9, 10 inch amount out of the storm. So, pretty good storm in terms of for the skiers, and the skiers are mostly opening up this weekend, so get out there, try to enjoy that. It won't be a real powdery snow, it'll be kind of wet and sticky. I don't think we'll have enough snow to really be power outage issues, and it will be light. It'll be getting lighter as it goes, so I wouldn't worry about that. But in terms of the skiing, it won't be powder snow to ski, but it'll be good to help build that base, and also it will be good to make it look pretty, especially on the mountains as we head into kind of the holiday season. All right, thanks for joining me this morning. If you haven't subscribed, like I said, to my YouTube channel before, you should do that. I want to give a quick shout out to my patrons who support what I do here. And if you're interested in becoming a patron, it means you do get an early look at weekend forecasts throughout the winter, and actually all throughout the year. I put out a forecast on Wednesdays for my patrons. So if you were interested in that, you can check out my Patreon page. It has all the details on how to do that. Otherwise, stay safe if you're out there on the roads, especially this evening. And I'll be back. There is a chance of a storm, although it's looking less likely on Monday. So I'll be back some point this weekend with an updated look at our Monday forecast for the potential for snow as well. Otherwise, stay safe out there.